If you've been doing more and more cardio, but your belly fat isn't shifting, you're probably training in the wrong zone. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the specific intensity that tells your body to release deep belly fat. Let's talk about stubborn belly fat, because if the solution was simply working harder, most people wouldn't still be stuck with it. There is a way to go after it more effectively, not by adding effort, but by changing the signal. A way to get far more out of the cardio you're already doing. So let's get straight into it. What we're breaking down today is a strategy designed to target a very specific type of fat, one that can be mobilized up to 3 times faster under the right conditions. But before the solution makes sense, the problem needs to be clear. We use the phrase belly fat casually, as if it's all the same. It isn't, not even close. So what exactly is visceral fat? And why does it matter far more than most people realize? Because this isn't about aesthetics. It's not about how your clothes fit. It's about what's happening under the surface, out of sight. Visceral fat is internal fat. It sits deep inside the abdomen, wrapping itself around critical organs: the liver, the pancreas, the intestines. And this is the key distinction. This is not the fat you can pinch. That's something else entirely. Visceral fat behaves very differently, and far more dangerously. You've got 2 categories here: subcutaneous fat, the visible, pinchable kind, and visceral fat, the hidden threat. The reason visceral fat is such a problem is because it's metabolically active. It doesn't just sit there. It behaves almost like an organ of its own, releasing inflammatory compounds that interfere with normal hormonal function. That's what makes it dangerous. Now here's where things get interesting, because the very thing that makes visceral fat harmful also makes it vulnerable. Yes, it's associated with inflammation, insulin resistance, and increased disease risk, but that same high blood flow and metabolic activity means it's actually easier for the body to access than other fat stores. Unlike subcutaneous fat, visceral fat is already positioned to be used as fuel. Think of it like this: visceral fat is a packed suitcase by the front door, ready to be opened. Subcutaneous fat is a vacuum-sealed bag buried in the attic. One requires the right signal. The other requires far more effort. So if visceral fat is so accessible, why does it accumulate in the first place? Because of inputs, and diet is a major one. Certain nutrients are preferentially stored in visceral fat, particularly saturated fats and excess fructose. They encourage the body to keep packing that suitcase. In contrast, polyunsaturated fats from foods like nuts, seeds, and avocados are far less likely to end up there. So now we've got the full picture. We know what visceral fat is, we know why it's a problem, and we know it has a weakness. Which brings us to the strategy. This is what we call the 75% solution. And the key point is this: it's not about doing cardio. It's about how hard you do it. Low intensity movement has its place, but it doesn't send the signal we need here. To trigger visceral fat mobilization, the body needs a specific demand. That demand sits in the moderate to high intensity zone, and the threshold is remarkably consistent. Around 75% of your maximum heart rate, that's the switch. At this intensity, the body releases catecholamines, hormones like adrenaline, that tell visceral fat cells to open up and release stored energy. Below that threshold, the signal barely registers. Above it, at maximal effort, other systems take priority and the effect drops off again. This is the peak, the most efficient command you can give your physiology to access visceral fat. So how do you actually apply this? It's simple. Step 1. Estimate your maximum heart rate. A practical starting point is 220 minus your age. Step 2. Calculate your target zone. Take that number and multiply it by 0.75. And step 3. Train with intention. Use a heart rate monitor and aim to spend your cardio sessions around that target, not guessing, not drifting. That's what working smarter actually looks like, because this isn't about how long you're on the treadmill or how much you sweat. It's about precision. It's about understanding the signal your body responds to. So the real question is this: are you just working hard, or are you working intelligently enough to target the fat that actually matters?